It starts with the invitation. You see the words annual gala, music festival, or company retreat, and your stomach drops. It isn't that you hate the people involved. It isn't that you are afraid of leaving your house. It is the scale. You imagine the sea of faces, the roar of overlapping conversations, the frantic energy of 1,000 people trying to be noticed, and you feel a distinct biological recoil. You are not antisocial. In fact, you might be the most social person in the room when there are 4 people at the table. But when the number hits 40 or 400, your system shuts down. You prefer the quartet to the symphony. You prefer the intimacy of the huddle to the anonymity of the herd. You are a microsocial being living in a macrosocial world. To the social gluttons, the people who feed off the energy of the mob, your avoidance looks like apathy. They say, the more the merrier. They measure the success of an event by the head count. They do not understand that for you, social connection is not additive, it is dilutive. They do not see that you view a large gathering not as a feast, but as a famine, a place where there is so much noise that you cannot hear a single true note. They assume you are shy. They do not realize that you are simply rejecting the superficiality of the swarm in favor of the substance of the individual. Today, we are going to dissect the behavior of the intimacy architect. We will look past the labels of agoraphobia or social anxiety and examine the science of Dunbar's number, the science, neurology of social saturation, and why your brain treats a room full of strangers as a cognitive threat. We will explore why you are brilliant at dinner parties but invisible at conferences, and why you feel lonelier in a crowd than you do in an empty room. We will validate your need for social fidelity and explain why avoiding the crowd is often the only way to find the person. Let's begin by validating the physical reality of the Dunbar limit. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar theorized that humans can only maintain about 150 stable relationships. But for you, the number for concurrent interaction is much lower. You likely have a tighter sympathy group, the number of people you can care about at once. When you walk into a gathering of 300 people, your brain tries to track them. It scans faces. It reads expressions. It monitors threats. For the macrosocial person, the brain blurs the crowd into a background texture. For you, the brain tries to process every single person as an individual. This causes processing overload. You are trying to run 300 applications on a computer built for 5. The fan spins. The system overheats. You crash. You avoid large gatherings because you cannot turn off your empathy. You cannot turn off your observation. To be in the crowd is to be assaulted by 300 streams of data that you cannot integrate. This brings us to the hidden pattern, the distinction between broadcast and narrowcast energy. A large gathering relies on broadcast energy. To survive, you have to project. You have to shout. You have to be on. You have to speak in sound bites because there is no time for nuance. You operate on narrowcast energy. You are a laser, not a floodlight. In a large gathering, your laser has nowhere to land. It gets scattered by the fog of the crowd. You feel socially impotent. You know you are funny, smart, and deep. But those qualities require a specific context to shine a quiet room, attentive listeners, time. The large gathering denies you all of these. So you stand there, holding your drink, feeling like a ghost. You avoid these events because they strip you of your superpowers. You are a deep diver, forced to splash in the kiddie pool. It feels undignified. It feels like a waste of your specific talents. Let's expand on the deep psychological expansion of the anonymity paradox. The crowd offers anonymity. For some, this is liberating. I can get lost in the music. For you, this is terrifying. You associate safety with being known. If you are in a room where no one knows you, you feel untethered. You feel the existential drift. You look around at the laughing masses and think, if I fell over right now, would anyone notice? This thought chills you. You avoid large gatherings because they trigger a specific type of crowd loneliness. It is the loneliness of being surrounded by bodies but starved of souls. You would rather be alone in your room where you are grounded in yourself than alone in a banquet hall where you are erased by the noise. You crave reciprocal recognition. I see you and you see me. In a large gathering, everyone is looking at the spectacle or looking over your shoulder for someone more important. There is no I-thou connection. There is only I-it. But this avoidance comes with adult consequences. The world organizes itself around the gathering. Weddings, graduations, conferences, networking, mixers. By avoiding them, you risk being seen as unsupportive. Why didn't you come to my launch party? I love you, but I hate parties, you say. They hear, I don't love you enough to be uncomfortable for 2 hours. This creates friction in relationships. You miss the big moments. You miss the collective effervescence, the toast, the speech, the dance. You become the person who is good one-on-one, but bad at showing up. This limits your professional growth. The mixer is where the deals happen. The conference hall is where the connections are made. You try to network via email or Zoom, but you lose the serendipity of the room. You feel the career ceiling pressing down on you because you refuse to play the game of mass socializing. There is also the planning anxiety. If you do agree to go, the event ruins your week. This is anticipatory dread. You agree to the wedding 3 months in advance. For 3 months, it sits on your calendar like a black hole. As the date gets closer, your anxiety spikes. You start hoping for a minor catastrophe. Maybe I'll get a flat tire. Maybe I'll get the flu. You bargain with yourself. If I go to this, I don't have to go to anything else for a month. This mental load is exhausting. You are spending energy on the event before it even happens. By the time you get there, you are already depleted. The avoidance is a strategy to protect your future self from this dread. This leads to the internal conflict recognition. You wrestle with the fear of missing out, FOMO. You see the photos on Instagram. Everyone looks so happy. The lighting looks great. You think, maybe I would have had fun. Maybe I am just being a grump. Maybe I am the problem. You wonder if you are socially defective. You look at the social butterflies who flutter from group to group, energized and sparkling. You envy their ease. You envy their ability to just be in the chaos without needing to analyze it. You worry that your life is becoming too small. By avoiding the large, are you shrinking your world to the size of a postage stamp? You want to be part of the big world. You want to celebrate. You want to dance. But every time you try, your biology revolts. You feel trapped between the desire for belonging and the biological need for containment. Let's pause the self-judgment. We need to validate the high-fidelity socializing. You are an audiophile of connection. The large gathering is low fidelity. It is static, distortion, and interference. You prefer the high fidelity of the small room. You are not less social. You are selectively social. You are optimizing for signal. You know that in a room of 500 people, the probability of a meaningful interaction is low. In a room of 5 people, the probability is high. You are an efficiency expert. You refuse to spend your time sifting through the sand to find a speck of gold. You go to the gold mine, the coffee date, the small dinner. You are protecting the quality of your interactions. You are the guardian of depth. And that is a valid, necessary role. The world needs people who build deep bridges, not just people who build wide nets. In the next part, we are going to explore the tactics of the reluctant guest. We will look at how to navigate the room if you must attend. We will discuss the perimeter strategy, the job assignment, making yourself useful to avoid chatting, and the art of the deep corner. We will move from the psychology of avoidance to the strategy of survival. We have established that your avoidance of the crowd is a defense mechanism for your sensory and emotional bandwidth. But let's be realistic. You cannot boycott society forever. Your best friend is getting married. Your company requires attendance at the holiday party. you will have to enter the arena. When you do, you must stop acting like a victim of the crowd and start acting like an operative. You need a plan, you need a protocol. You need to treat the event not as a party, but as a mission. This brings us to the tactics of the reluctant guest. The first rule of survival is the perimeter strategy. Watch a person who hates crowds enter a ballroom. They never walk through the center, they cling to the walls. This is instinctual, but let's validate the tactical brilliance of it. When you stand in the center of the room, you are exposed on 360 degrees. You have to monitor threats. People bumping you, talking to you from behind, left, right, and front. This burns cognitive energy. When you put your back against the wall, you eliminate 180 degrees of threat. You have cut your monitoring load in half. You now have a panopticon view. You can see the entire room, but no one can sneak up on you. You are in a defensible position. You gravitate toward the corners, the pillars, and the high tables on the edge. You are establishing a base camp from which you can survey the chaos without being swallowed by it. Your friends might try to drag you to the dance floor, the center. You resist. You know that the wall is your ally. The wall is the only thing that isn't moving, screaming, or sweating. This leads to the service as shield protocol. The hardest part of a large gathering is the floating. Standing around with no purpose, holding a napkin, waiting for someone to talk to you. This feels vulnerable. The solution is to get a job. You volunteer to be the photographer. You volunteer to help in the kitchen. You volunteer to mix drinks. Why? Because a role gives you a script. If you are the bartender, you don't have to make small talk. You just say red or white. If you are the photographer, you don't have to mingle. You just say smile. The camera, or the cocktail shaker, is a shield. It places an object between you and the crowd. It justifies your presence. You aren't just loitering, you are working. This shifts your status from awkward guest to valuable contributor. You will often find the people who hate crowds huddled in the kitchen washing dishes. They aren't being martyrs. They are hiding. The kitchen is a sanctuary zone. It is bright, it is task-oriented, and the ratio of people per square foot is manageable. We must also discuss the tactical prop. You never, ever have empty hands. If your hands are empty, you feel exposed. You fidget. You cross your arms, which looks defensive. You need a prop. Usually, a drink. It doesn't have to be alcohol. It can be soda, water. It can be a mocktail. The drink serves 3 purposes. Fidget toy. It gives your hands something to do. You can stir the straw. You can peel the label. Pacing mechanism. It gives you a reason to pause conversation. Hold on, let me take a sip. Escape vector. When you want to leave a conversation, the empty glass is your ticket out. Oop, need a refill. Catch you later. The prop is your anchor in the physical world. It grounds you. Without it, you feel like you are floating away. This brings us to the deep corner strategy. Even in a massive event, there are microclimates. There is the high energy zone, dance floor, main bar. And there is the low energy zone, balcony, patio, hallway. Your mission is to find the anti-party. You scan the room for the other people who look overwhelmed. You will find them on the balcony. You go there. You nod at them. This is the introvert's alliance. You don't even have to talk much. You just share the silence. It's loud in there, you say. Yeah, they say. You stand together, looking out at the city, garden, street. You have created a pocket of peace. You survive the large gathering by turning it into a series of small gatherings. You ignore the 400 people and focus entirely on the 2 people on the balcony. You realize that you don't have to attend the party. You just have to occupy the same building as the party, while living in your own quiet reality on the edge. We also need to look at the surgical strike timing. The person who hates crowds is a master of the window. You do not stay from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. That is suicide. You execute a surgical strike. You arrive at the sweet spot. If you arrive too early, it's awkward. Too few people. If you arrive too late, it's messy. Drunk people. You arrive when the room is 70% full. This allows you to blend in immediately. You do the rounds. You say hello to the host, the check-in. You hold a drink. You go to the bathroom. You eat a canapé. You stay for exactly 90 minutes. And then you execute the ghost exit. We discussed the Irish goodbye in the crowd script, but here it is vital. You do not announce your departure. Announcing your departure triggers the stay. It's early negotiation. You cannot win that negotiation, so you vanish. You text the host later, "So lovely to see you. Had to head out, but beautiful party. You have fulfilled the social contract. You were seen. You participated. But you protected your sanity. You treat the event like a work shift. You clock in. You clock out. But what about the sensory buffer? Large gatherings are loud. The acoustic hangover is real. You might wear high-fidelity earplugs like Loops or Vibes. These are game changers. They lower the ambient roar by 15 decibels. They cut the high-pitched screech of laughter and the boom of the bass. You can still hear the person in front of you, but the background radiation of noise is reduced. This prevents sensory flooding. Without earplugs, you hit the red zone in 45 minutes. With earplugs, you can last 3 hours. You are artificially extending your battery life by reducing the input voltage. It is not rude, it is a prosthetic for your nervous system. We must also address the restroom reset. In a large gathering, the bathroom is not a biological station. It is a decompression chamber. You will go to the bathroom even if you don't need to go. You will lock the stall door. You will lean your forehead against the cool door. You will breathe. You are engaging in intermittent solitude. You are letting your nervous system reset to baseline. If you stay in the crowd continuously, the stress accumulates exponentially. If you take a 5-minute break every hour, the stress accumulates linearly. You can manage linear stress. You cannot manage exponential stress. The bathroom break breaks the curve. This leads to the +1 shield. If you have a partner or a close friend, you use them as a human shield. This is the anchor strategy. You agree on a signal. If you squeeze their hand 3 times, it means I'm overwhelmed. Take me outside. You let them be the face of the couple. They do the loud greeting. They shout the stories. You stand slightly behind them, nodding, smiling, adding a comment here and there. You are drafting in their wake. They cut the wind. You ride in the slipstream. This allows you to be present without taking the full force of the social friction. You are the silent partner. And often, the extroverted partner loves this. They get the spotlight, you get the safety. It is a symbiotic relationship. However, there is a danger here. The cling. If you cling too hard to your anchor, you look helpless. You have to master the solo hover. You have to be comfortable standing alone for 5 minutes while your partner gets a drink. You assume the museum pose. You look at the art on the walls. You look at the architecture. You look deep in thought, not lost and scared. If you look scared, a predator, a severe extrovert, will attack you with small talk to save you. If you look deep in thought, they will respect your aura and leave you alone. Your body language is your fence. Crossed arms, defensive. Phone out, disengaged. Looking at the ceiling with a slight smile, mysterious. Be mysterious. In the next part, we are going to move to the integration. We will look at how to build a social life that honors your limit without ending your friendships. We will explore the host advantage, why hosting the party is actually easier for you than attending one. We will discuss how to decline invites without offending people. The no, but strategy. And we will close with the validation that your preference for the intimate is actually a quest for the sacred in a profane, noisy world. We've arrived at the final frontier: integration. We have validated that your avoidance of the herd is a biological imperative, and we have armed you with the tactics, the perimeter, the prop, the surgical strike to survive when you must attend. But the goal is not just to survive parties like a soldier behind enemy lines. The goal is to build a social life that works with your grain, not against it. You want to move from being the flake who cancels last minute to being the intimacy specialist who curates deep, meaningful connections on your own terms. This brings us to the host advantage. It sounds counterintuitive. If I hate large gatherings, why would I host one? Because the host is not a guest. The host has power. The host has purpose. When you host, you control the environment. You control the lighting. You control the volume low. You control the guest list, curating. You control the exit. You are already home. When people leave, you're instantly in your pajamas. But most importantly, the host has a role. You are busy. You are taking coats. You are checking the oven. You are refilling drinks. This busyness protects you from getting stuck in awkward conversations. I'd love to chat, but I have to check the souffle. You can circulate without landing. You get credit for being social while actually spending most of the night alone in the kitchen prepping food. Hosting allows you to be the center of the event without being the center of attention. It is the ultimate hack for the control freak introvert. This leads to the protocol of the decline. You cannot go to everything. You have to say no. But you fear the no will cost you the friendship. You need the no but strategy. Bad no, I can't make it. Sounds cold, disinterested. Good. No, I can't handle the crowd at the festival this weekend, but I would love to grab a quiet dinner with you next Tuesday. Analyze this. Honesty. You admit the crowd is the barrier, not the person. Redirection. You offer an alternative that fits your strength. Quiet dinner. Affirmation. You confirm you want to see them. You are teaching your friends how to love you. You are teaching them, if you want me, you have to meet me in the quiet zone. Over time, your friends will stop inviting you to the rave and start inviting you to the wine tasting. You are curating your incoming offers. We must also look at the micro-tribe construction. You don't need a network, you need a micro-tribe. A network is 500 people you vaguely know. A microtribe is 3 to 5 people you would call if you were in jail. You focus all your energy on deepening these 3 to 5 bonds. You create rituals with them. The weekly movie night, the monthly hike. These rituals happen in small groups. They are high frequency, high fidelity. Because you aren't wasting energy on the macro social world, you have a surplus of energy for the microsocial. You become the super friend. You remember birthdays. You bring soup when they are sick. You listen to their problems for hours. Your friends realize that while you might not be the life of the party, you are the rock of the crisis. They value you for your depth, not your breadth. You trade popularity for indispensability. This brings us to the reframing of FOMO. You still see the gala photos online and feel a pang. You need to visualize the sensory reality. The photo shows smiling faces. The reality was standing in line for a drink for 20 minutes, shouting over the DJ, your feet hurting, the Uber surcharge, the ringing in your ears the next day. You are home. You are warm. You are drinking tea. You can hear your own thoughts. You are experiencing JOMO, joy of missing out. You realize that missing out on the noise is actually gaining peace. You are not missing life. You are just missing the performance of life. The most important things in the world, love, ideas, rest, creation, rarely happen in a crowd of 500 people. They happened in the quiet corners. You are the guardian of the corner. We also need to address the professional sniper aspect. In your career, you worry that avoiding conferences will kill your progress. You adopt the sniper strategy here too. You go to the conference, but you don't work the room. You pick 3 targets, 3 specific people you want to meet. You research them. You find them. You have a deep, meaningful 15-minute conversation with them, and then you leave. The social glutton met 50 people and handed out 50 cards. No one remembers them. You met 3 people. They all remember you. That was the most interesting conversation I had all day, they say. You win by impact, not volume. You are the person who sends the thoughtful follow-up email, not the generic LinkedIn request. You play a different game, and often you win bigger because of it. This leads to the sanctuary maintenance. Because the world is loud, your home must be quiet. You must defend your home environment ferociously. You are likely a high sensitivity person. Your home should be a sensory deprivation tank. Soft fabrics, warm lighting, no clutter, silence. When you come home from a large gathering, you need this tank to heal. You treat your home not just as a place to sleep, but as a recharging station. If your home is chaotic, you have nowhere to retreat. You prioritize your peace at home, so you have the reserves to face the war outside. Finally, we arrive at the grounded, hopeful closure. What is the ultimate truth of the person who avoids large gatherings? It is that you value the individual. The crowd erases the individual. The crowd turns people into a mass. You refuse to see people as a mass. You insist on seeing them as souls. You want to see the person's eyes, not just the top of their head. You want to hear their voice, not just the roar. This is a form of respect. You respect humanity so much that you refuse to dilute it. You are holding out for the real thing. You are the one who waits for the smoke to clear so you can see what is actually there. So, the next time you turn down the invitation to the massive party, do not feel broken. Do not feel small. Feel selective. You are a curator of your own energy. You are saving yourself for the moments that matter. You are saving yourself for the conversation that changes a life, the silence that shares a burden, the laugh that heals a wound. Those things don't happen in the mosh pit. They happen in the quiet room. Stay in the quiet room. Wait for the knock. Open the door to the 1 or the 2 or the 3 and give them everything you have. That is enough. That is everything.